Hello and welcome back to the Derailment Chronicles, where no train of thought ever stays on track. And if nobody's told you today, I'm glad that you're here with me in this moment. Well, you know how I said in the last episode how the months keep coming and they just keep coming. Well, April has come and gone in like really the blink of an eye. Yes, some parts have been slow, but that's been nice because the rest of the year's been pretty busy. April, she's known as the public holiday month here in QLD because actually Australia-wide, because we have Easter. Easter was early this year. We had Anzac Day as well, and then at the end of it, like the first May, like coming up, like the 4th of May is actually like a public holiday for Labor Day, I believe, up here as well. So they're all kind of like situated near each other. Anzac Day did fall on Saturday this year, so we decided not to have you don't get the Monday off for it, which is, it's fine, because it's just commemorating the people that gave their lives for us to live this life that we're currently living. So it's fine. It honestly is. What have I gotten up to in April? Well, I did my first solo holiday for a couple of nights. So I basically did like a weekend away, but it was like during the week. I went Sunday, Monday, and came back Tuesday. Because I was like, if I don't really like it, 2 nights isn't that long. But also, if I get there and absolutely and utterly hate it, I can just, it's an hour and a half home. So I was like, look, this is like a good little safety net. So I decided to go to the Tamborine Mountains. I was like, I'll go do a couple of hikes. I'll go look at the scenery. I wanted a Airbnb that had a spa because I just wanted to chillax in the spa after I did my daily activities. So, and I wanted somewhere that was a bit more central. So I ended up getting an Airbnb just off Gallery Walk. I forgot the name of the road, but it was basically down the end of the street a little bit, maybe 200 meters. I was on Gallery Walk. And it was cute. So I was driving there because originally I Googled it, Google Maps it, and did a little street view, and she was a bit hard to see because they got all these beautiful trees out the front. So anyway, I'm driving, and then of course there was a car in front of me, and the car in front of me ended up actually turning around in my driveway, the driveway I needed to drive into. And I was like, oh, maybe that's not my driveway. So anyway, and then I realized as I was driving past, when I saw the person go, I was like, oh wait, that looks like the Airbnb. So then I was like, okay, now I need to do a turnaround. Anyway, the estate kept going, and then I was just like, oh, I'm like, is this, I was like, damn. I was like, is this the actual correct address, the correct place? Anyway, I pulled up to the Airbnb because, mind you, the person on Airbnb had messaged me earlier to tell me that I could check in earlier. And I was a bit sus because it said self-check-in, right? And I was like, cool, fine, they'll give me a code or whatever to get in. But sometimes I'm no good with the lockboxes thingos because, I don't know, they don't tell you in the instructions that you got to press a hash key for it to actually unlock after you put the numbers combination in. Sometimes I'm not real practical like that. So I was like, well, it's kind of nice that there will be somebody there, in a sense, because at least I know I'm going to be actually able to get into the house. But the problem was the person who I was seeing, because they wrote English was very much so their second language, and I don't know, the name Patty was just giving off male vibes, right? And I'm like, well, if this person is doing this day in, day out, they can't be a mass murderer or anything, or some sort of dodgy person. But anyway, I was a little bit apprehensive about it. So anyway, I pull up to this Airbnb. I find it, right? I was down on the other driveway. There's 2 driveways into this property, okay? But it's like a main house and then the guest house. So the Airbnb is the guest house cottage, and then there's like this main sprawling house. It's like beautiful on this sprawling estate. Bellevue it was called, after the Bellevue Hotel. And anyway, this older lady, you know, because I pulled up about the time I said I would, and they said, oh, I'll meet you there, Patty's in. Anyway, this older lady comes walking to me. Not the person I was expecting. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I am in the wrong spot. So anyway, I get out of the car because she's like walking towards me. And I was like, holy moly, like I'm not trying to trespass or anything, you know, like maybe I just got the place wrong. But like this joint definitely looks like the Airbnb. And I'm like, and she's like walking up, and I'm like, hi, I'm Siobhan, I'm here to check into the Airbnb. And she's like, hi, I'm Patty. And I was like, these messages are now starting to make sense, because it's probably like her fingers were like she needs to enlarge the keyboard on her phone, because she was like not typing correctly, and like things were a bit like spaced out. And it's just more like a technology usage thing. So anyway, she gave me a little tour. She let me know what's up. She was a very lovely lady, so I felt very well checked in. Then she was also like, oh, I thought you had been here before. And I was like, no, first time. And she was like, oh, she's like, I would have sent you way more instructions then. And I was like, oh my God. But I have a habit of people, like if I'm at like a restaurant or something, they'll be like, I swear I've seen you here before. And I'll be over here and I'll be like, oh, okay, this is like my first time in your establishment. I don't know what it is. Like apparently I must have a familiar face or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was beautiful. So anyway, so then I was like, oh my God, like the windows to the place next door were open, and there's cars parked here and stuff. So I'm like, oh, like I was thinking the cottage was a little like separate thing, right? Like somebody, like they don't live on the property. They would come from wherever they actually live. But no, they do live on the property, but because the estate's so big, it is actually private. Like I didn't see them for the rest of the time, but like the windows on their place were open, right? Like, so you know there's somebody there, which is both beneficial if somebody's trying to break in, because you are close to Gallery Walk. There are like the driveway isn't like locked, you know, you're not necessarily in like a secure garage where you'd like hear them fumbling to like get into your car. And anyway, so it's nice that there were other people, like the people that own the Airbnb right there. But they sort of stuck down the other end, and you're up. You have your separate end, so it was actually pretty private. And then I forgot that they actually had a sauna as well. But I was like, I don't need to test out a sauna. But I did test out their like outdoor spa bath in this like covered patio area. Anyway, it was cute. It was lovely. Loved it. I did get a bit bored because I had finished all the walks I wanted to day one by like 12. I had also gone for a walk when I got there. That was probably only 50 minutes, because I only really wanted to do like well-worn ones that were like 1 to 3 Ks or something, because I didn't want to end up on the news as somebody that got lost, and I just wanted well-worn paths. I just wanted paths that a lot of people are most likely to be on, etc. And yeah, I did that. Tried out Franket Bakery. Still thinking about that apple crumble Danish. The sandwiches were pretty good, but I have to say, Mount Tamborine, improve your coffee game. I tried the Franket coffee, honestly mid. And then I went to the actual roasters that like roast their own beans. Mid. Like, I would prefer Franket over its thing. And I was just like, far out. Like, I was just like, for a little like tourist spot, I thought there would be like better cafes around. So I don't know. The search for like better coffee there, like, it's on the hunt. Like, the machine we have at work produced like better tasting coffee than those two places, and I was a bit disappointed by that. But anyway, that was that. So we enjoyed that. We did come back relaxed. Then things things started to take a turn. And it ended with me being in the emergency room, but after a couple of weeks. So let me take you back. So the Saturday before I went on my little holiday, I got a notification on my Apple Watch because I wear it to sleep to make sure I'm like getting deep sleep, etc. Or, you know, to see if I need to change up my nighttime routine so I get better sleep. Anyway, I got a notification Saturday morning that my heart rate, when I was sleeping, hit 39 beats per minute for more than 10 minutes. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know it could alert you. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. So then, of course, I did some Googling. And it was like, elite athletes are down towards the 40 beats per minute and when you're sleeping. And like most people are from 50 beats per minute upwards. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit low. But then again, I'm like, how accurate is your Apple Watch? Well, let me tell you, we tested an emergency and it was exactly the same. It was dead on accurate to the monitors they had me linked up to. The nurse and I were gooped and gagged because we thought there'd be a little bit of a difference, but no. Heart rate, they got you on. It is spot on to hospital grade equipment. So we had the 39 beats per minute. So I was like, I'll just monitor it for a week. Mind you, this was coming up to the week of Good Friday. So I was like, okay. And because when the sleep stuff on Apple Watch, it gives you like your heart rate, your beats per minute, temperature, etc. They give you a range of your vitals. And basically for that whole week, my vital range for heart rate had been between 40 to 43, which was low in my typical range, like low. Then I get a trend alert that my resting heart rate had dropped 10 beats per minute in the past 5 weeks. So then I was like, what? Like, what's been happening? Because I hadn't been like running for a bit, etc. Because I was just in between running plans, you know. I was doing some weights and stuff. Like, I was doing a little something, but I was like, this is just like next level improved. Like, this is somebody training pretty hard to kind of improve. And they're like, this is getting down to elite athlete level. And I'm like, I'm not an elite athlete. Anyway, then mum had been like talking to some like nurses, etc. that she knows. And they're like, that's really low. You should get into a doctor's. And then I kept getting like waking up super duper dizzy. And I was like, oh no, this isn't good. So it took me a week to get into the doctor, right? Because the day I decided that I would need to go to the doctor's was the Thursday before Good Friday, right? So anyway, the doctor was booked up till like Friday end of next week. I was like, alright, I'll go then. During that week, I started getting nausea after I was eating, headaches with the nausea, and I was just still waking up a bit dizzy. And I was doing everything that my other specialist had said about the dizzy spells, you know, have your electrolyte every day, you know, and just ensure you're staying hydrated enough and just make sure you're not eating too many carbs, but you're eating enough carbs to fuel your body. So that was happening, and then I got to the GP on Friday and I told him all of this. I said, this is the data, this is what they're saying, blah, blah, blah. He was like, look, I'm not worried about your heart rate when you're sleeping being 40 to 43, or your resting heart rate coming down to 53 beats per minute. Not worried about that. That's normal. That's an okay range. But given you're having all these other symptoms and you have gotten down to 39, it could be something to do with your heart, which we didn't initially consider when we started investigating all of this. So he gave me a referral to a cardiologist. Okay, well, he was like, who do you want to go see? And I was like, oh, my mum had told me about this doctor that her clients had recommended, and my nan had also gone and seen this like cardiologist. And so I was like, I'd like to go see this person. He's like, cool, easy, did up the referral. This is Friday close of business, mind you. So then Monday morning comes, I call up the place where the doctor works, because it's like a heart care place. So there's like a lot of cardiologists there. So I call up and I'm like, hey, I've got a referral from my doctor, come see so-and-so. I'd just like to book an appointment. Like, what's the process there? What's the wait times? What's the fee structure, etc.? So the person on the phone was really lovely. The receptionist was really lovely and was like, well, before we can offer you an appointment, we need to see a GP referral. So they took my name, phone number, and email address. They sent me a text with the email address to send the referral to. And then they said once they look at it and the doctor looks at it, we'll give you a call back for available appointment times, right? Mind you, this is like Monday 9 a.m. So I practically had the email once I got off the phone. Like 30 seconds after getting off the phone, I had the email address. So I had scanned in all the pages of my referral and I sent it to this email address. I had my phone with me all day. I was like, I can't miss this call. Like, I need to know, etc., etc. Monday came and went, no call back. I'm like, okay, the doctors can get busy. They also do surgery. Maybe Monday's their surgery day, yada, yada, yada. So then I'm like, home Tuesday, same thing. Like, my phone's near me. I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to pick up. I've got possible dates I can and can't do depending on what they say. Nothing. Nada. So then I was like, oh, okay. And mind you, the symptoms hadn't subsided. Like, the symptoms were still happening regularly, like more regularly. And so then I called them up Wednesday, because I also had to, I call them up as soon as they open, because I also had to get somewhere for work. So I was like, I need them to pick up as soon as possible, timing wise. So I pick up and I get a different receptionist. I'm like, okay, they must rotate receptionists through the week. Found out they had 3 receptionists at one point, kind of thing. Anyway, so I pick up and this guy's like, oh yeah, we got your referral a couple of days ago. And I'm like, okay. And then they're having a look at it. And they go, I don't see a referral here. And I was like, I'm like, it should be the first 2 pages. And they're like, oh yeah, but this isn't a referral. You need a referral to come here. Mind you, it was the same format of a referral that my endocrinologist had accepted. It basically says, hi, doctor's name, please see SHIB for diagnosis and management of whatever, right? And then my GP had said, give them everything because it's been an ongoing investigation. Like, he gave me all my, he had in the referral all my initial blood test results, my updated blood test results, my information from my endocrinologist about what I was doing, what my current treatment is, current medication, etc., right? The whole story of SHIB and SHIB's health was in this package that I had nicely scanned in. Anyway, the receptionist was like, okay. I was like, this is everything my doctor has given me. My GP, right? And they're like, okay, I'll put you down as a placeholder. And I was like, okay. So the initial cardiologist I wanted to see had a month and a half wait. And mind you, at this point, the symptoms had been getting worse. And we've known a couple of people that have had strokes, and they've had similar sort of symptoms, like a couple of weeks before they were having the stroke. So I'm sitting here thinking it could possibly, be a stroke, and I could possibly be at more risk of having a stroke. And this person's telling me, yeah, you can't get in for a month. I was like, is there anybody else within the group that would have availability sooner? The receptionist's like, yeah, next Tuesday. I'm like, book. Yeah, I'm like, that's fine. Book me in. They were like, oh, by this stage, I was getting nearly late for work, like late. Well, I would be late if I didn't leave in the next like 5 to 10 minutes. Mind you, I was ready to put my stuff in the car and go, but I was like, oh, gotta get, really gotta get going. Anyway, the receptionist was like, oh yeah, I'll send you an email with the details of your doctor, the date of your appointment, etc. And if you can just get your GP to give you a referral, just like send that back ASAP so the doctor can have a look at it before next Tuesday. I'm like, okay. Otherwise they go like, the receptionist goes like, I'll have to follow up your GP. I'm like, okay. So anyway, I go to work, get there on time, and I'm waiting all day for this email. I had taken a photo of the front and back page of the referral, the initial referral document that he gave, and I was just going to like resend that back at that point. So that happened. So the email never came. Like, the email never came, and I was just like, far out. First of all, you couldn't call me back. Yes, it is about my health. Yes, I need to take it. But if I sent you everything you needed, within 5 minutes of getting off the phone to you, and you say you're going to call me back, I expect a call back. Like, I'm starting to feel like I'm a forgotten patient here. And I'm like, do I even have an appointment here? Wow. It gets better. So, it gets better. So, Wednesday, I was like feeling a little bit, like 95%, right? Like, I just had this like unsteadiness that was just like staying. And then after lunch, I had the nausea, I had a headache, like I was out at the client side by myself, and you know, the clients are lovely, etc. And then I got home and I was like, yeah, okay. I just felt buggered, like buggered with a capital B. And I was like, I don't know, I had dinner, I had a shower, and then just this wave, like the worst nausea I've had so far since getting these symptoms started. Mum's like, you're looking white. I was on watch. Okay, we were taking my blood pressure every 10 minutes. Took me sugars. Sugars were perfect for like an hour after eating. I was like, wow. Finally, like the stuff my endo had been telling me to do is kind of working, because like this is sort of when my sugar would start to dip, right? So it's working out for what we actually needed. So the internet was, you know, Mum had a Google, and it was like electrolytes get up. So I had another electrolyte. I was sitting down doing nothing. Had a bit of a headache starting. I just wanted to go to sleep. You know how when you get a concussion and you're not meant to sleep, but you just want to sleep? Like, it kind of felt like that without the concussion. Like you just want to sleep, but you feel like you need to stay awake, because if you go to sleep, it might be like you're actually like passed out instead of going to sleep. Like, you know what I'm saying about that? So anyway, I had the electrolyte and it did improve. Like, it did improve. It took like 10 to 20 minutes, but it improved. Nothing changed. So I went to bed. I had an early night. I woke up the next morning, nothing different. Okay, this is the day of the emergency room visit. Nothing felt different. By this stage, I had stopped running for at least 2 weeks, and I was just doing like morning walks. I was trying not to put any more strain on my heart until we found out what exactly was going on. So then I got back from a walk. I made up my hydrolyte to sip while I started working. I started working, and you know, I was a bit dizzy, and I was like, well, that's my new normal. So I was drinking the hydrolyte, and I was like, that usually like helps it. Then I started getting nauseated. So I was like, oh, I'll just drink more and more, you know, more of the electrolyte I'd made up. It was getting worse and worse. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I need like a mint or something that's meant to help with the nausea. No, it just started making it worse. Then I started getting a headache. Then I had the shakes, okay? I did not feel cold, but I was shaking, like my whole body, like especially my arms and legs, were just like lactic acid shaking. Like, I was just shaking like a leaf. And then I had tightening on my heart area. Like, it was just getting really tight in my chest. So then I was like, oh no, like, this is getting worse. It's not getting any better. So Mum was home, and Mum was like, we need to go. So we went to the hospital, and we got in. We did end up going private, because I was just like, I would just prefer to get seen sooner rather than later, and I will pay the money. I had the money to pay to go to the private emergency room. So I got there, got in within like 5 minutes. I had brought my referral, so I don't know, I was like, surely it'd be helpful as to where they could possibly start for what these symptoms could possibly fit. Gave it to the triage nurse, I don't know, they put me down as moderate complexity, actually, when I read, like, my discharge, like, invoice thing. So anyway, they put me in this, like, consult room. They give me a hot blanket, which really did help with the shakes. By this stage, when I was, like, lying down on the bed, because I was in a hospital gown, because they were obviously going to have to do, like, heart scans or whatever. I was in a hospital. They had a warm blanket on me. I'm like, oh, this is doing really well. They were, you know, they had my pulse going. They had my blood pressure going, like, monitoring that. Then they came in and they did an ECG. Then the actual emergency doctor came in and saw me. He saw that, you know, he had a copy of the referral, etc. Was asking me all these other questions and was like, okay, I think, well, was going to ask me all these questions. Then, when I was getting the ECG done, they finally sent me a text from the heart place, which is actually, like, in the next building to where I was, but it's, like, in the same hospital, that I had been booked in for my Tuesday 10 a.m. appointment. And I finally had the name of the doctor. So I was like to the emergency doctor, I'm like, well, this is who I'm booked in to go see next Tuesday. Because I'm like, are they just going to ask if they're around and they could just come down and check me out? Well, like, what's the go, right? So then I replied yes to that appointment because I don't want to go into somebody else, right? And at this point, I don't know what's going on with my heart, but I know it's not good if I'm in the emergency room. So then the doctor was like, okay, I'm going to see if I can get you an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of your heart. So the actual heart place I was going to, they have the consult rooms and they have like the testing rooms on different levels. So had a lovely guy come and do my echocardiogram. It took about 15 minutes. He said to us, like, he couldn't say too much, obviously, but basically he said there's nothing structurally wrong, right, to kind of put us at ease, because Mum had started talking about all the people we had known that had like, strokes and stuff, and, like, he could tell that we were a bit stressed. Anyway, he said it's nothing urgent, nothing structurally wrong. He goes, that's all I can say. So we're like, okay. But then we were like, well, what does that mean? Because you're saying nothing structurally wrong. But does that mean, like, my beats per minute off? Am I skipping a beat? Do I have a murmur? Like, what does that mean? So then, as soon as he left, the doctor also wanted me to do bloods and fluids, right? Tests. So as soon as the echocardiogram guy, Sullivan and Nicolaides, were in there taking my blood, and then I also had to do my other sample to give to the Sullivan and Nicolaides people. Mind you, it probably only been like, I was in there for a total of, I think, 3 hours. Because we ended up going to get lunch. Because it had probably been 5 hours since I had last eaten, so I was actually starting to get a bit hungry. But we're like, well, we have to ask if I can eat or drink anything, because, like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the test results are saying. But, like, am I allowed to eat or drink? Like, Mum was going to go to the cafe because Mum was also getting hungry to, I don't know, get, like, a sandwich or something. And anyway, the guy came in because originally the echocardiogram guy says it takes about 2 to 3 hours for us to get your results, back in a report to the doctor here. So we were like, oh, okay, we've got to stay here for a couple more hours. No, doctor came in 5 minutes later. Was just like, you're all good to go. Nothing urgent. He goes, it could be something with your carbs. Like sometimes some bodies are really sensitive to like lowering of the carbs. And if you've been doing that as per your doctor's instructions, to help with the reactive hypoglycemia stuff, that like it could just be your body reacting now to that. But mind you, my sugars were like 5.3, which was perfect. That's also when it usually starts to dip. Like that's when it was starting to dip on my like glucose tolerance test, about 4 hours, which would mean I would be expecting more of a blood sugar level of about 3 or 4, like somewhere way lower. But anyway, I was feeling a bit better, but just like buggered ads. So then, all those results got sent to all my doctors. My endocrinologist, the heart specialist, and my GP. Then we get to Friday. I get a message from the heart people being like, just confirming this is your appointment, this date, this time, this doctor. Please arrive 15 minutes early to complete a new patient form info. I'm like, perfect, fine, can do, easy as. They were also like, please note you'll need a GP referral. So I send them the photo of the front and back page of the referral, and I'll be like, look, this is the referral, okay? If you need something else done, you need to let me know so I can call up my GP, right? If you have a particular referral form you like it filled in as, you need to let me know, and I can get the GP to fill that in, right? Like, you let me know. Didn't hear anything. Then I got a call from my endocrinologist, and they were like, we've seen your discharge papers. Did you want to book an appointment? And I was like, well, no, currently at this present point in time, it isn't I think it's more a heart thing, right? And I'm seeing a cardiologist next week. So if I don't need to book an appointment, I'll let you know, right? They were lovely. They checked in on me. GP didn't, but the GP's a lot more busier than the specialist, Anyway, so fast forward to Tuesday. This is when I said before it gets better, it gets way better. So I rock up 15 minutes before my appointment. Actually, I think it was 20 minutes before my appointment. I rock up and I'm like, hi, I'm Siobhan. I'm here for the 10 a.m. appointment. And they were like, oh, it's next week. And I was like, oh, I had to double check my watch because I was like, oh my God. No, it was the correct date. Okay. I said I got a text from you guys last Friday confirming that this was the date and time for me to be here. Like, I haven't received any other communications from you guys. Because there had been a note on my file that I had called up on Monday, rescheduled my appointment for another week because I was getting fitted for a halty top. I said I did not call you guys yesterday. I have not received any info from any doctor. Nobody telling me I need to get fitted for a halty. Nothing. Like, being here today at 10 a.m. was the last communication I have received from you guys or any doctor that I have. So then they're like, can we see the text? So I show them the text. I'm like, of course. They were like, oh no, you're here in the right place at the right time. They were like, we can fit you in today at 10 with the doctor. And I was like, yes, please. Yeah. Then they were like, go take a seat. You know what they didn't give me? A new patient form. And you know what I was? Ticked off. I was ticked off. I was like, I'm not going to go up there and ask for a new patient form. If you don't know how to do your job properly, that's not on me. Okay, I'm here in the time. You can clearly see I'm a new patient on my file. I could not care less at this point. I just want to see the doctor and get out. So anyway, turns out the receptionist sitting next to them, okay, was the Wednesday receptionist. So the person checking me in was talking to the Wednesday receptionist. Okay, all three of them are sitting in a little hub. We had Monday, Wednesday, and the one checking me in Tuesday, 10 a.m. And they turned to the Tuesday. They turned to the Wednesday one. And we're like, what's going on here? Well, the Wednesday one was like adamant. No, she called up yesterday and she rescheduled for a week, so I booked her in a week. The other one, well, she's here now. She said she didn't have to get fitted for a Holter. No, nothing. He was like, no, I'm adamant that, like, they called up yesterday. Took him 20 minutes. Realised that they had written another patient's information into my file. And then Wednesday receptionist laughed about it. Laughed about it. Which made me start freaking out. Maybe my information's in the wrong person's file. So anyway, I'm sitting there. Heaps of people are coming and going. It's hustling and bustling. Anyway, the nurse calls out my name. I'm like, oh, okay. You have to get an ECG and heart rate, like a ECG and like blood pressure check before you go in. So anyway, I'm talking to the nurse. They're like, oh, how you got? They're like, oh, your blood pressure's up a bit today. And I was like, yeah, well, I rocked up and then they had told me they had rescheduled my appointment, but had never let me know that they had rescheduled my appointment. And she was like, what? And I was like, I know. And then she's like, oh, have you filled out a new patient form to consent to us, like, collecting this info and stuff? And I said, no, I haven't. I said, they just told me to sit down while they were, like, sorting out what was going on. And she was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Like, we've had all these new people start. And, you know, we've been having some hiccups. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, she got me sorted. I filled in the form. I gave it to them. The doctor was an hour late, okay? I didn't see the doctor till 11:30. And I was starting to get pissed off because, like, half the people that had come in had already gone, right? I was just starting to get pissed off. Because for some reason, everybody else's referral, everybody else's file, not a damn problem. Like, not a problem for reception. A lot of them were filling out new patient forms, but it just had to be my file, okay, that they started to bloody screw up on. And so I nearly felt like saying, did I actually get booked in? Because I feel like an hour is enough time to wait. Like, it had actually been an hour and a half that I had been waiting to see the doctor. Anyway, the doctor comes out at 11:30 and calls my name. Turns out he had had a patient at like 10:30, so I had seen that patient, then had to read my info, right? I had to get caught up on everything. And he goes, I also had a printed out copy in case these people wanted to screw me over, because at this point would not bloody surprise me if they just had lost my referral. Would not have surprised me. And then the doctor actually was like, okay, this is what I think's going on, and it was thinking that it's like my sugar, etc. So it was a waste of time going, like, in a sense, I didn't get any more out of the cardiologist that I had on Thursday. Basically, my heart's structurally sound, there's no blockages, etc. So it's like fully ruled out, in his opinion, that it's my heart. He's thinking it's more my sugar. So then I obviously had to call back up my endocrinologist to be like, hey, can I book an appointment? But it gets better. So I get sent a survey about how the heart people were going, right? Like, what my experience was there. So obviously, like, the doctor was really good. The doctor knew what it was about. I felt seen, heard, listened to. Like, I felt like I was an actual patient from the doctor. Then they ask about reception. So obviously, I put down everything that had gone bloody on with reception. I was like, screw you. Like, old mate Wednesday receptionist needs to be fired or needs to undergo some serious bloody training, because, like, I don't know if that's a breach of the Privacy Act or what. Like, here's the thing, if they hadn't laughed about it and, like, taken it seriously, I would be less angry about it. But it was all a big funny joke. And it's like, no, like, that's a, like, actual potential breach of a law. Like, oh my god. Like, take it seriously. Anyway, so I found out the thing. Anyway, the next day I'm looking because it's, like, quite high up in my text messages. And I realised they spelt my middle name wrong. And I was like, luckily I didn't see that when I was filling out the survey. They spelled my first name right, but my middle name wrong. And I was just like, if I had seen that, that would have been another bloody point I would have put on the thing. Anyway, so that was my trip. That was it. That's where I'm at. Basically, I just need like, my appointment with the endo is in a month, so I have to wait for a month to find out, like, what's going on, whether I don't know how I'm going to balance out my sugar levels, but I had been doing what he had told me to do religiously, had been feeling better, so I don't know. We're going to find out. Yeah, so it's been a busy April. But let's get into today's topic at the 40-minute mark. Let's just get into it. So, in the last podcast episode I did, like, not the bonus episode, I mentioned I had been obsessed with a podcast called Two Girls, One Ghost. And on one of them, they had been talking about this thing called the Gateway Tapes. And it was basically a mixture of secret government, army staff, well, like, CIA was involved, and then the information got declassified and it got released. And it's kind of, I thought it was meant to be like a hack your body kind of thing, because the Two Girl, One Ghost, one of the hosts had been using it throughout her pregnancy, so when it came to childbirth, that she would trick her brain into thinking, like, it's less painful or whatever, right? Like, some sort of, like, body hack, but also was having, like, out-of-body experiences with it. So I was like, well, this sounds like it's right up the Derailment Chronicles alley. So I was like, what actually are the Gateway Tapes? So let's get into it. And to be honest with you, I did do some boots on the ground journalism. I have listened to the tapes and we're going to get into it. I'm going to give you my takes. So, what are the Gateway Tapes? They are from something that was called the Gateway Experience, which was developed by Robert Monroe in the 1970s. Monroe had what became the Monroe Institute, and was also big in the radio space and like radio waves kind of space, and was just fascinated by working out how to create, like, out-of-body experiences, because he was, a big believer in, like, the spiritual realm, astral planes, etc. And he claimed that he could have these out-of-body, like, consciously, like, leave his body and explore other astral planes. And he wanted to help others do the same. So he decided to put together these self-guided audio recordings to allow people to have the same out-of-body experiences as he had, right? Or what had been having. So then these recordings became known as the Gateway Tapes. So Monroe did start working on this independently from the 1950s to the 1970s, okay? And as a radio exec, he just started experimenting with, like, sleep learning techniques, audio techniques, when he began having these out-of-body experiences, to see if there was, like, particular frequencies, tunes, etc. that would stimulate this to happen easier. And that led him to what is basically the crux of the Gateway Tapes, which is called Hemi-Sync audio method. And that basically is what they call binaural beats. So in each ear you have a different sound wave, or like sound frequency going into each ear, and then they kind of meet at the middle to create this, like, new wave. And so so to get the full experience, you have to wear headphones, okay? Because you got two different sounds going in each ear, and your brain then syncs in the middle to this third tone that both create. It's like 1 + 1 = 2, and the two frequencies in your brain. And so this third tone, it's meant to shift your brainwaves, because you have different states, different brainwaves that you can be in, and the shift in your brainwaves listening to the two different frequencies is meant to initiate deep relaxation, lucid dreaming, meditation, and of course the out-of-body experiences. So that is what Monroe called the hemisync experience, right? Both left brain, right brain, hemispheres, kind of frequencies connecting as one. Then, in the 1980s, the CIA of America, okay, became involved, and they took interest in Monroe's work as part of like a broader Cold War experiment era, okay, because a lot of these documents became declassified later on, and this is what a lot of people are finding out about, that they were doing a lot of experiments in regards to warfare and how to fight the war during the Cold War era. And so they were doing especially a lot of research into like consciousness and psychic phenomena. So all the information regarding the like CIA and Monroe's work is in a now declassified report called Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process. And basically the whole paper was about whether the gateway method, the gateway tapes, could expand the human consciousness, could allow people to access non-physical dimensions and see enhanced perception beyond normal limits, right? Like open up your third eye, if you will. And so the report's actually pretty interesting, because it's been like talking about consciousness as energy and the universe as this hologram and humans potentially transcending time and space. Now, it might to you come across that I need to be wearing a tinfoil hat, talking about this stuff, but like this is real. This is what they were really looking into at the time. But it's important to note that the tapes itself, the report didn't confirm that the tapes itself did work in a supernatural sense, but it shows the military and CIA took it seriously enough to put funding into it and to seriously investigate and research it. And look, depending on who you ask, because there are of course a lot of Reddit threads since it became declassified about the tapes and people's experiences when they've been listening to the tapes. And basically a lot of people are saying that the gateway tapes have been helping with astral projection, lucid dreaming, deep meditation, and just helping to sort of reprogram your subconscious. Some people swear that they work, and other people are just it's just a good meditation, with some nice binaural beats. It's not that deep. And so, look, here's the thing. From a mainstream perspective, there is actually limited evidence out there that the binaural beats actually can do anything beyond making you really relaxed and a bit more focused, depending on whether you're going to bed or whether you're trying to get into your flow state. Also, out-of-body experiences have also been described as brain-generated phenomena and not actually something that the tapes are helping with. And there's a lot of extreme claims that of course aren't scientifically verified about the tapes. So the tapes did have a massive resurgence again online on TikTok, YouTube, and of course Reddit after the CIA document went viral again. Hence why I ended up finding out about it. The podcast, the Two Girls, One Ghost podcast, obviously talking about topical, psychic phenomena kind of content. But, you know, like, duh, like, people love secret government research, altered states of consciousness, and the idea that you can, like, unlock something that's been sort of, like, hidden in your brain, like, next level, like, level up. And, like, I was like, duh, that is right up my alley. So, here's the thing. If you want to listen to the tapes, how can you listen to the tapes? Well, officially, you can purchase the Gateway tapes from the Monroe Institute website. They do look a bit different than the 1950s and to the 1970s when Monroe was, like, initially, like, independently working on them. They have expanded. But a lot of people have uploaded to YouTube and Spotify, so I did listen on Spotify. So, how many Gateway tapes are there actually? So, the original Gateway experience, the one that Monroe was originally working on from the 50s to the 70s, is structured with 6 waves. Okay, so that's 6 albums. And each wave had 6 audio exercises. So that's 36 tapes in total that they had. And each one builds on the last one, okay, which is something I did learn. Okay, I did debunk that was actually correct. You can't, like, to get maximum benefit out of it and to see, like, some results, you do need to go in order. And later on, after, like, the CIA picked it up and, like, you know, all the declassified stuff came out, they decided to expand it up to 8 waves. So each wave still roughly has about 6 tracks. So, you know, there's way more tapes on there now. And so each tape is about 30 to 40 minutes long, and you have guided audio, and then you also have, like, the beats playing for a little bit, right? And so, look, they do guide you through what they call this, like, focus. So you start at focus 3, which we'll get into my experience there, and then I went to focus 10, and I didn't really understand. I was like, well, where's focus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? But the focus is a time thing. It's not like a sequential order level thing, which I found out from actually listening to the tapes. So, look, some of the tapes on the Spotify is like people recording them from somewhere, and so they do have, like, background noise or the occasional phone ding. So they're probably not as good as, like, the ones from the actual Monroe Institute. But, honey, in, like, this economy, you know, I mean, it's there if you want to. But I would suggest listening to a couple, and then if it's something you're really in, then look into purchasing. Just so you don't spend all this money and then feel like you waste it because you don't listen to them all. Or, like, then you feel like you're forced to listen to them all because you paid for it and you want to get your money's worth. So, here's the thing. It's, like, it's not just the tapes anymore on the website. It's more, like, they call it the Gateway Voyage program. And so you have the courses there, you have apps, you have guided experiences. So, as part of it, you have, like, 23 guided sessions, and there's, like, a structured multi-week course where it's like you listen to these tapes on these days. So they have kind of made it more a bit more of a, like, a self-paced, self-study thing if you want to do all 8 waves of the stuff, and, like, how best to do it, and, you know, what to be doing to obviously have that out-of-body experience. So, as I was saying before, your girl did some boots to the ground journalism, and I listened to the tapes. Now, I listened to the tapes before going to bed. I listened at the same time every night because I was trying not to change any external variables to make sure I got the maximum amount out of these tapes. Or, like, I don't know what was meant to happen in these tapes, but, like, you know, what do they call it? Experimental control. Okay, she was trying to get scientific, trying to have the same environment so I could tell you what I felt differently, etc. Okay, give you my full experience. So, tape 1. Straight away, it is kind of weird. So it starts out, and like you can tell that it was like recorded in the 1950s, 1970s. And it starts with Monroe talking in your right ear, and that's to ensure that the audio is playing into the correct ears. Okay, your earbuds are in the correct ear. Then my brain was actually starting to get a bit of a headache because it's not used to binaural beats, because it was just like, it was like you could tell, like I was sensitive that there was two different frequencies in there, because like I wasn't used to it yet. And so then my brain was like, oh my god, I'm meant to be shutting off for the day, but now I've got to like somehow like merge all of these together to create like, you know, to create the second wave that's meant to be the merged wave. Like, it was just a little bit of work. But after 5 minutes, you got used to it, because they were playing like calming beach wave sounds to try and get you into that relaxed state. And I was like, well, this is really getting me into the relaxed state. Thank you so much. And then Monroe starts talking, and then it becomes basically like a guided meditation. And you know, you gotta create this box in your mind, and you put away all your worries and stuff, and then you get into like resonant tuning, and like getting through that. So like first tape, you get basically used to the setup that you're going to have for every other tape. This is what I'm saying, you're going to listen to them in order. Because I was like, oh, what if I just decide to go straight to like tape 5 after this one? No. Because I'd be like, what's going on here? So anyway, that was cool. I'm pretty sure that was called Focus 3. Or Focus 3 might have been tape 2. Anyway, it was weird. The point is trying to get your brain to be active but your body to be asleep, and that was definitely happening, and I was definitely a lot more relaxed. And honestly, I think I did start falling asleep like halfway through, and then woke up to him saying, hey, this is the end of this session, like come back to consciousness, like full consciousness or whatever, in the last 30 seconds of the tape. So I was like, I don't know, but I was extremely and utterly relaxed, and I had a great sleep afterwards. Then you have tapes 2 and 3. So you start off, you put all your worries in the little box you created in the tape before, and then you do your resonant tuning, and then now we move on to creating this energy field that's like all your energy is like shooting out of your head, and then it's like coming down around your body and then wrapping around you, and then it shoots back up through your feet, right? So you have like this whole little circle of energy going, okay? And you choose what energy you let into the bubble, or what energy you let out of the bubble, okay? Like I'm here, like this is what I'm trying to visualize. This is what he's saying, I like visualize. I think some people do it with their eyes open, but it's like I need less senses working at the moment, so I'm just gonna keep my eyes closed. So then, you create your like little energy bubble, okay? And look, tape 2 and 3, we get to focus 10, which is basically he will count to 10 seconds, and then you get into your focus bubble, okay? That's with the energy wrapped around you, flowing through you, out of you, back into you. I do have to say though, when they did that, they did change the audio. Like they do change the audio frequency, and to me it was really weird because it sounded like warplanes going over, the ones in the movies, and they're like the ones that people would go into the bomb shelters for. It did sound like that, so it did start making me feel a little uncomfortable. But when I did have to create the focus bubble, I did feel the energy going. Like there was just tingles all the way up my spine, up the back of my neck, like throughout my head, like from top to bottom. Like basically if you had a rod, like the energy was going straight up through that rod. I was like, okay, I don't know if this means this is working, but I'm hoping it is, because I was reading some of the comments before I started, and they're like, oh my god, I'm seeing colours, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm having the right experience or not. Mind you, I did say I have to go in with an open mind, because otherwise I'm like, this is the boots to the ground journalism. Could it work? Like, I don't want to be skeptical. So here's the thing, the tingling sensation lasts for a few minutes, and then it kind of like leaves you, and then you're like in this, I don't know, like meditation state for probably 20 minutes or something, I dead on fell asleep. Like, I fell full on asleep. And it's meant to be your mind's conscious, but your body's asleep. But I think I did full on start dreaming. Fully entered dream state. Like, I was so relaxed. And then I woke up and I was like, oh my god, I can't hear his voice anymore. And then I still had like 10 minutes left, and I was like, well, I fell asleep. So whatever the activity was that we were doing, I wasn't doing it anyway. So I just bailed out. But basically, it was him counting to 10, which is focus 10. And then once you get to focus 10, you need to be in like your little bubble with the energy all wrapped around you. Like, that's all it was. That's why there's no 4 through to 9. It's because it's the amount of seconds he's counting to get you into this stuck in your like body ready to do the astral projection stuff. It's like you just like relaxing and chilling out. But I had been looked asleep afterwards. Honestly, vibing. Then we move on to tapes 4 and 5, because I only listened to 5 tapes. I was like, after this, I was like, because tape 5 was probably my least favorite tape, and the one where I just couldn't get as relaxed. And it was the one I was most excited for, because we're starting to do like the sleep focus stuff. And I was like, oh my god, I'm like, am I gonna have like an out of body experience, etc.? Because it's like asking you to like picture your like consciousness coming out of your body, because tape 4 was kind of like tape 3, so like they all do start merging in together. You know, you do your same resonant tuning stuff, put all your negative energy away, get in your energy bubble. Yeah, it kind of lost me on tape 5. Like, I just couldn't get, I did the same thing, same time, just couldn't get as relaxed. I think I don't know if I was overthinking trying to have an out-of-body experience too much. But it just wasn't happening for me. And I was just like, you know what, I don't feel as relaxed in this one as I did in the rest. So I'm going to get out of here. And so then I haven't listened to a tape since. But honestly, look, they are a really good sleep meditation. Like, it's a bit guided and has non-guided parts, so you could actually like fall asleep. They are coming. They did help me relax. I did sleep incredibly well after them, except for tape 5. But in terms of unlocking like a hidden level of consciousness or opening up my third eye, I don't necessarily think it achieved that, but it is only like 5 tapes out of an original 36, so that's not really that far through. So maybe if I kept at it or keep at it, that it could, you know, unlock something. But I think I'm just happy with those 5 tapes and just, well, how calm it made me. Personally, I just wouldn't pay for it. Like, there's other guided sleep meditations out there if that's like what you're really using it for. You know, that could be a vibes. But anyway, yeah, wasn't real impressed, but good sleep meditation. So yeah, that's Gateway tapes. I don't really have anything more to say. It's been an experience, not necessarily a bad experience. So yeah. So since the topic's over, which was a pretty quick topic today, we are back to the reoccurring segment, which is what my obsessions are for the month. So, you know how I'm obsessed with the Schweppes lemon lime drink. Well, I branched, and their blood orange and mango. Well, I branched out and I tried their passion fruit and pineapple drink, the one in the purple can. And when I tell you it dead on tastes like Pasito or Passiona, like dead on, I was gooped, I was gagged, and I was like, wow, found a like soft drink dupe without all the sugar. Like, yes. So anyway, I've been drinking those. And then on TikTok. I don't know if you're on the Open Light Media podcast TikTok algorithm, but my For You page has been. And it is people, so the Open Light Media podcast is basically nuns interviewing each other. Like, they have the main host and she's interviewing her other sisters. And it's just so wholesome, so lovely. They talk about their life in the convent. And all the, like, TikToks I've been seeing and been, like, also saying it's so wholesome. Like, are they on this? Like, everybody's sat. It's like a new episode of the TV show's been released when they release a new, like, podcast clipping, etc. And, like, what I love is she was interviewing this sister and she's like, oh, what do you like to do in your downtime? And she's like, oh, I love to play ultimate frisbee. And the host is like, sister, you are so good at that. And it was just such a warm, genuine, uplifting comment. Like, she genuinely meant it. And, like, yes, we're here for people, lifting people up. Like, yes, babes. Anyway, so we love that. Eurovision's coming up. I finally did listen to all the songs and I've done my ranking, and honestly it's a lot of misses this year. A lot of songs that are honestly subpar. Not my favourite personally, but Albania's rocking. And I think compared to the other songs that are in this year, Australia could have more of a chance to score higher in the semi-finals. Bring back the Dummy M days with Sound of Silence. Was it Sound of Silence? No. Was it Sound of Silence she did? Maybe. I don't know. She had a year. And I think they ended up getting second. Like, it was Australia's peak year. Since then, we have been going way downhill. But I think Gojo got absolutely and utterly slaughtered last year because the audio difference between his performance and the performance after, chalk and cheese. But he also did seem nervous, and the staging, like, just wasn't as present. Like, Eurovision, yes, half's about the song, but if you have good staging, you can turn a bad song into an absolute banger and the crowd goes wild if you have absolutely good staging. It goes either way. You know, could also go the reverse way. So it'd be nice to see Australia higher in the rankings again at Eurovision. And we also love the fact that diesel in Australia is now under $3 and closer to $2.50. And that is what we have been obsessed with this month. So, yeah, thank you for listening today. And if you like the podcast, make sure you give us a like on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast from. And if you want to yell with me into the void in between episodes, make sure you're giving us a follow at the Derailment Chronicles. And I also want to let you know, in the bottom of the episode description, there's also a link to fan mail. If you wanted to send it in that way rather than on Instagram or something, you can, I don't know, send in your thoughts, your cheers, your queries, possible topic ideas you want to hear me cover. You do that, okay? Make sure you stay chaotic out there, divas. Bye.